Could Ripple and XRP one day replace the US Federal Reserve? It's a bold question, and in this video, we're diving deep into the possibilities. A new video just dropped, sparking conversations and raising eyebrows. Could this be the real reason Ripple and XRP were created in the first place? Today, I'll share my thoughts on whether this could actually happen, how realistic it is, and if it's in the cards, how much longer we might have to wait. Buckle up, because this is one discussion you definitely don't want to miss. Tired of fake gurus who claim to be expert traders but never trade live? I trade live on the second largest crypto exchange, where everything is transparent and results can't be faked. For over 440 days, I've consistently closed every month in profit. In the last 90 days alone, my followers have earned over $34,000 in profits with only 4% drawdown. Verified results, not empty claims. Want to see my verified stats? Click the first link in my profile and start copying my trades for free today. As I mentioned at the start of the video, a fascinating new video just dropped from notfinancialadvice.crypto, diving into the striking parallels between Ripple and the Federal Reserve. The coincidences uncovered are so intriguing that they might just leave you speechless. After this, we'll dive deeper into whether Ripple could actually replace something as monumental as the Federal Reserve, and if this has been the plan all along. First, let me share the highlights from notfinancialadvice.crypto's video. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for the whole thing, because the connections uncovered are mind-blowing. Huge shout out to him for putting together this incredible research. This isn't the type of research I usually dive into, but it's absolutely intriguing. Even if you're the biggest skeptic when it comes to riddles, this one might just get you rethinking a few things. So, let's break it down, explore this theory, and then I'll share my thoughts on Ripple and XRP potentially replacing the Federal Reserve. What if I told you that, in the years leading up to the Federal Reserve's creation, there was a wildly popular cartoon series called the Roosevelt Bears that seemed to foreshadow the exact cities where Federal Reserve banks would later appear? These bears weren't just on random adventures. They toured the Treasury with Teddy Roosevelt himself, visited the Philadelphia Mint to watch silver and paper cash being produced, and even discussed big money topics like oil, steel, and high finance. They introduced kids to the idea of ID and cashing checks, and even stopped by a psychic who predicted they'd become millionaires. Coincidence? Maybe. But the timing of these bear cartoons right before a massive shift in banking feels oddly poetic. And it's not the only thing the Roosevelt Bears have in common with BG123. The Bears had quite the adventure-filled lives, sporting an enviable hat collection, traveling with a mysterious unmentioned owl, scaling the eagle's nest on a ship, and even donning cowboy gear alongside none other than Teddy Roosevelt. They rang bells, explored castles, and famously declared that the world is a stage. Their names? Teddy B and Teddy G, the Roosevelt Bears. Coincidentally, their initials, BG, appear to link them with BG123, a name steeped in intrigue and riddles. So, what's the deal with Teddy Roosevelt, Bears, double meanings, and the letters BG? Could all of this really just be a coincidence? Here's the thing, that video is undeniably captivating. If there's one takeaway, it's that whoever crafted the bearable guy riddles was clearly pulling inspiration from those cryptic puzzles surrounding the creation of the Federal Reserve, trying to replicate that same enigmatic energy. Some viewers have walked away convinced that Ripple could one day replace the United States Federal Reserve. And that's the theory I want to focus on for the rest of this discussion because, let's face it, the whole idea is mind-blowing. Whether or not you buy into riddles, the parallels between the Federal Reserve's creation and these Ripple XRP riddles are impossible to ignore. The connections alone are stunning, and when you start piecing it all together, it's hard not to be impressed by the way these dots align. The entire concept is nothing short of fascinating. Could Ripple and XRP really replace the United States Federal Reserve? Let's unpack that. But first, it's key to understand how the Federal Reserve operates. Surprisingly, the Fed isn't technically part of the US government. It's an independent entity, yet it functions so closely with the government that the lines can feel blurry. Think about it. The president appoints the Federal Reserve Chair, giving it a distinctly government-like vibe. But the Fed's real power lies in its role at the heart of the monetary system. Here's how it works. The US Treasury issues debt, the Federal Reserve buys that debt, and then uses it to pump liquidity into the banking system. Simply put, the Federal Reserve is a cornerstone of how money flows in the economy today. If you're thinking we're on the brink of a massive overhaul in the monetary system, you're probably right. But don't expect a revolution in how money gets created through debt issuance. That core mechanism isn't changing anytime soon. Shaking that foundation would require the entire system to collapse, forcing us to rebuild from scratch. And honestly, it doesn't feel like we're anywhere near that kind of meltdown. Inflation is under control, GDP growth is solid, and overall, things seem to be financially stabilizing. It's hard to imagine this being the moment when the entire monetary and financial structure comes crashing down. Now, the big question: is Ripple about to replace the Federal Reserve? Not quite. Ripple isn't aiming to take over the Fed's role in money creation. That's not their game. The Fed is essentially a tool for creating money, and Ripple's ambitions lie elsewhere. The real transformation happening isn't about tearing down the system, but upgrading its foundation. The shift we're seeing is about modernizing the system's infrastructure, digitizing the way money moves, not rewriting the entire rulebook. Ripple's focus? Redesigning the plumbing of the financial world, not demolishing the house. It's evolution, not revolution, and it's happening right now. We're overhauling the financial system's plumbing, but here's the kicker. You can still run the exact same debt-based monetary system we use today, just on a cryptocurrency network. Imagine tokenizing money, debt instruments, and financial products, all on blockchain technology. That's the path we're heading down right now. And it's not just talk. Major players like BlackRock, the Federal Reserve, and other institutions are already discussing tokenized money, assets, and debt. Why? Because it's simply better infrastructure. Blockchain offers a more efficient way to run the same system without reinventing the wheel. But let's not confuse this innovation with abandoning the debt-backed system altogether. Change like that won't happen unless the current model completely collapses. And we're not there yet. Some people dream about Ripple replacing the Federal Reserve. But let's be real, that's neither practical nor logical. The Federal Reserve isn't the whole story. There's the Treasury, the banking system, and a web of moving parts. The Fed is like the middleman, shuffling money from point A to B. If Ripple took on that role, it'd just end up doing the same thing. And honestly, why would Ripple want to? Their focus is on entirely different business lines and priorities. Suggesting they replace the Federal Reserve is like saying, hey, let's turn this car into an airplane. Sure, it's fun to imagine, but is it realistic? Not really. Instead, it's about using blockchain to enhance the system we already have, not turning it into something completely different. Think about it. Planes serve one purpose, cars another. So why reinvent the wheel? A better analogy here is how the Federal Reserve and the entire banking system currently operate. Right now, it's like they're using carrier pigeons to deliver letters. Outdated, slow, and inefficient. But imagine upgrading that system to email. The information being exchanged doesn't have to change, but the speed, efficiency, and ease of tracking improve exponentially. That's exactly what Ripple can do for the financial system. The core functions of moving money and sharing information stay the same, but everything happens faster, smoother, and with far greater precision. Sure, this upgrade will open the door to new possibilities, just like email unlocked things carrier pigeons never could, but the foundation remains familiar. In my view, Ripple is poised to become a key technology provider for the Federal Reserve, revolutionizing the infrastructure of our financial system. It's about modernizing the rails, making them more efficient while digitizing the flow of money, all within the framework of the existing monetary policy. Let's face it, the Federal Reserve isn't going anywhere. We're not about to overhaul how money is issued anytime soon. Ripple's role? To innovate without disrupting the critical systems that keep the economy ticking. The entire financial system as we know it would collapse and look nothing like what we see today. Many people seem to think, oh, we can just replace the Federal Reserve. It's just one piece of the puzzle. But the truth is, the Fed isn't just a piece. It's a tool within an incredibly complex and interconnected machine. Simply swapping it out with something like Ripple wouldn't fix the problem. That would just mean asking a company that doesn't perform the Fed's functions to suddenly take on the exact same role. It solves nothing. What would solve a lot is upgrading the infrastructure, the backbone the Federal Reserve relies on. Imagine if we could overhaul the settlement system, make money move as fast as information travels today. That would fundamentally transform the financial system's architecture. And that's exactly what Ripple is aiming to achieve. BlackRock recently said that if instant settlement systems existed, money would move so quickly, so efficiently, it could be reinvested almost immediately. The ripple effect, pun intended, would be astounding. Industries across the US would see explosive growth virtually overnight. The ability to move money at the speed of light would propel the country's progress forward like never before. No more waiting for settlements, no more excessive fees, just a financial system designed for the modern world. This is the promise of blockchain technology, and it's exactly what Ripple is working to bring to banking. Could Ripple one day partner with the Federal Reserve to create faster settlements, a wholesale CBDC, or revolutionize cross-border payments? Absolutely. It's within the realm of possibility. But the idea that Ripple could simply replace the Federal Reserve entirely, that's a far stretch. The future lies in collaboration and innovation, not in tearing down the system and hoping for a miracle. Let's venture down an interesting rabbit hole for a moment. Imagine a scenario where we move away entirely from a debt-backed system. Picture Ripple working hand in hand with the US Treasury, essentially replacing the Federal Reserve and issuing money directly on the blockchain. Could this new setup become the backbone for a central bank digital currency CBDC? It's an intriguing thought, one that might even make sense in theory. But let's be real. This would involve dismantling the entire financial system as we know it, breaking it into tiny scattered pieces, and somehow attempting to rebuild it from scratch. Realistically, that's a monumental task, bordering on the improbable. It feels more like a reactionary move that might only emerge in the face of extreme financial collapse. Until we start seeing signs of such a seismic shift, think hyperinflation or some other catastrophic event, it's hard to imagine this happening anytime soon. Could the landscape change quickly? Absolutely. But for now, a far more plausible scenario is Ripple collaborating with the Federal Reserve, not replacing it. Ripple could step in to modernize outdated legacy systems, creating a partnership that upgrades the way money moves across the globe. In this role, Ripple would become a key partner, enabling the Fed to tokenize and digitize assets, making the financial system far more efficient and resilient. This isn't just about convenience. It's about transforming the entire global financial infrastructure. And in my view, this is exactly why Ripple was created, to revolutionize the very foundation of how money flows. The rails of our financial system, especially those involved in money creation, are some of the most antiquated yet critical pieces of infrastructure in existence. Ripple's vision has always been to overhaul these rails, starting with wholesale settlement and interbank networks. That's where Ripple is poised to play an essential role in the future, reshaping the financial world as we know it. People need to realize that tearing down the entire structure of government and replacing it with businesses to handle things they're not built for isn't a practical vision for how Ripple will reshape the financial system. In fact, it wouldn't even be beneficial for Ripple or XRP. That's not their purpose. Ripple and XRP aren't here to overthrow the system. They're here to upgrade it. Think of them as building better rails for the financial world to run on. It doesn't matter what's traveling on those rails or how the system interacts. Blockchain can support anything you need. But here's the deal. If your financial system relies on outdated, slow, and expensive technology, it's like trying to run a bullet train on broken tracks. It simply won't work. Ripple is that modern infrastructure, a solid foundation to build an efficient system upon. And who knows, maybe in 10, 15, or 20 years, we'll move beyond this debt-backed system and embrace something entirely new. If we decide to replace the Federal Reserve model, or find a better way to manage a global financial system, Ripple and XRP are ready to power that vision, digitally and seamlessly in the age of the internet. Right now, the real game changer we need is upgrading the outdated, debt-backed system running on clunky, inefficient rails. It's time to move to faster, smarter infrastructure that transfers value at the speed of light. This is where Ripple steps in, playing a pivotal role in revolutionizing the way we move money. In my view, this shift could mark Ripple and XRP's greatest achievement yet, a true breakthrough in modern finance. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you found this video insightful and inspiring.